So greetings. My name is Kevin Chege. I present on a project we're working on with Afrinic. These slides have been prepared by myself and Amrish from Afrinic. So main thing we're trying to discover is Africa's internet resilience. So internet interruptions or service degradations occur a lot in the African region. And the data on why that happens is sparse and difficult to understand in terms of the real causes. A survey was carried out by Afrinic in 2019 that showed that measurement is not really a common practice in the African region when it comes to measuring internet performance. And there were a number of reasons. Some of them were not understanding the need to do it, and also lack of knowledge on how to actually carry out these measurements. And because of lack of sufficient measurements in this African region, it's very challenging to identify the problem areas so that they can be worked on, and improvements on the resilience in the African region can increase. Afrinic and ISOC, we do a lot of activities together, and one activity which we aligned on was on measurements. And Afrinic have a lot of experience carrying out measurements in the African region. We agreed to partner on this project, which we're calling Measure Internet Resilience in Africa, or MERA in short. And there are two main goals. First one is to determine the level of internet resilience in the African countries, and we want to do that by analyzing data and increasing the measurement vantage points in the African region. Those of you who are from Africa perhaps know, the measurements, the areas where measurements are being carried out are not that many. So it's very difficult to map out, how one country is doing against another one, and, identifying some of these problem areas. The second goal for the MERA project is to present this data in a very simple to understand manner. So if you're a policymaker, you'll be able to tell, what policies need to be implemented in your country. Maybe one country is doing better than your country. What are the policies that are working there? If you're a tech engineer, maybe you'll be able to identify some of the problem areas in your network and know what to fix. And if you're just a normal internet user, you'll be able to make an informed decision on, one ISP versus another ISP when getting connectivity. We've carried out this work from around, January or February this year. We signed an MOU with Afrinic in July. We've had several webinars to engage the African community and update them on what we are trying to do. We have ongoing work to identify the metrics we're going to measure. We have a team of local researchers helping to put out a white paper that just highlights the methodology we are going through to carry out the measurements. We have identified the measurement tools we'd like to use, and also the countries we'll start with for this project. And we're going to rely initially on RIPE and MLab data for this initial phase for carrying out the measuring and getting the hard numbers on statistics of connectivity in the country. We have tested a prototype measurement infrastructure. We're using a cloud platform called Belena OS, which is installed on very small devices that are Raspberry Pis. I'll come to why we're going that direction for now. And from the data we've collected so far, we have started to visualize the data a bit just to understand the metrics we're collecting and make sure that they're actually going to be useful for what we're trying to do. Why are we venturing on this? Might be wondering why the need to do this. We identified the need to do this. So providing up-to-date information on the quality of internet connectivity in different African countries is one benefit and one motivation why we are going around doing this. There are different measurements being carried out, but finding up-to-date and current data is not so easy. So that's one gap Afrinic and ISOC identified and agreed to work on. Providing an easy-to-use platform for internet users. So we just want, whether you're a hardcore engineer or just a simple internet user, you'll be able to go into this platform, see the data, and be able to make an informed decision if you're just selecting an ISP, or if you want to know, how one country is doing against another one, or how one country connects to another country. We're hoping that can be found on this platform. And then also, as I mentioned again, for policymakers, just identifying policies that are working in some countries. Maybe there are policies that can be adopted in different countries to improve, connectivity, so that the internet experience can be even across the continent. So, to summarize this, it's to allow users to make informed decisions, all categories of users on the internet. So what we hope to find out are, the different internet experience. Africa is a very large continent, different connectivity experiences. Some countries are landlocked. Some countries have one undersea cable. Others have several undersea cables. And identifying the different internet experiences is one thing we'd like to achieve. And how does one ISP compare to another one? So to give you an example, in Kenya we have several ISPs. The default metric we use to identify an ISP is how much they cost. But perhaps there's a reason or motivation why one ISP is more expensive than another one. Maybe they've done a lot more in connectivity and peering with neighbors and so on. Also, how does internet reliability compare in the different countries? What do underlying structures like power, fiber cuts, and shutdowns, how do those affect the resilience of the countries, and what's the impact? And as I mentioned again, for policymakers, what policies can be implemented to improve the resilience in the region? So this is the list of countries we chose to start with. Of course, this is just to make sure our methodology is correct and we are going about this the right way. These are 10 countries, and we've categorized them according to which ones have RIPE Atlas anchors and which ones have MLab servers. You'll see there Burkina Faso put there now present. One of the things we managed to achieve recently, so I think last month at one, we set up a software MLab server to carry out measurements too. And that's one thing we want to increase, because we want to at least start with software implementations of RIPE Atlas anchors, and also the RIPE measurement probes that we're going to use to carry out the data. For these ISPs, we don't want to go beyond 5 countries for now. Some countries have more than 5 ISPs. Mine and Kenya, Nigeria have more than 5 ISPs. But just to start with, we'll start with 5. Some countries don't have more than 5. A good example is Ethiopia. It's probably just going to be 1 ISP there. So that's the limit that we want to start with for now. We want to combine the quantitative data rather from RIPE and MLab with qualitative measurements or surveys, just to accompany or match what we see in the hard numbers with what is actually being experienced on the ground. And we want to measure both local in-country measurements against measurements outside the country. And I'll come to that a bit, in the next slide. So the infrastructure we want to use, as I mentioned, are the RIPE and MLab software clients. We want to deploy them in the 10 countries where there are none available for now. We are looking at using Raspberry Pis. We have started deploying them. They're quite stable. We're using a cloud operating system that's called Balena OS. What that allows us to do is, because some of these devices will be in home networks, we didn't want to get into the whole NAT and passing through files and so on. So the Balena OS, if you're familiar with it, what it does is allows you to manage some of these devices over the cloud. So once you turn it on, once you install the OS and you turn on the device, whether it's a Raspberry Pi, or they support a wide range of hardware platforms, it will show up on a dashboard, and you can see the dashboard there at the bottom of how we're able to access that, and you can get the command line access to the device and configure where you want the measurements to run and so on. And as I mentioned, we want to carry the measurements out in a phased manner. We're just forming this up and sort of cementing our ideas and making sure we're going about this the right way. So as I mentioned, qualitative data and quantitative data, RIPE and MLab, that's what we want to use for the hard numbers. And then we're going to combine that with a survey. So if you're hosting a probe, we want to find out, are you at home? Are you at school? Are you using 3G? Are you using fiber? When you get a downtime, was it because of power? Was it because of something else? And over time, we'll be able to tell, the real picture on the ground of what's happening in that country. So this is sort of a flow chart of how we are going to go about the project itself. So quantitative measurements, hard numbers, we're going to use RIPE. Then we're going to use forms. Then we're going to analyze the data, and then we're going to present this on a platform which we're calling Insights. The Insights dashboard or platform is something that InterSociety is working on. You can go to that URL. And mainly the idea behind Insights is to consolidate third-party information from various sources so that it can allow users, whether you're a researcher or journalist, to analyze trends and tell data-driven stories of connectivity in the different countries. So I'll wrap up with the timeline. So we have gotten the project ongoing. We've done the country selection. We've started the campaign. We have started the data analysis, and we want to at least put out some initial report by the end of the year. I'll share the URL on the chat as well. We're using an Afrinic hosted mailing list to sort of keep people up to date as we go on with the work. So I'll stop here because of time. Happy to take any questions, and thank you for having me on the call.
Hi, Kevin. Thank you for your presentation. Have you already found the hosts for the anchors in the countries where you still miss them?
Yes. So for the countries that don't have the anchors, for example, Burkina Faso, we identified the IXP. So between Afrinic and ISOC, we do have a number of communities we can engage with from previous work. Simple ones for us are like IXPs. So the server that was set up in Burkina Faso, for example, is hosted by the IXP. And we installed the MLab server. It's working well. We are going to install the software anchor there. And then already, for example, myself, I'm based in Nairobi, and Amresh is based in Mauritius. We can already carry out measurements from Kenya and Mauritius to Burkina Faso. So once we install the right software, server anchor, the anchor in Burkina Faso, we're also going to use that as well.
Nice, thanks.
Yeah. Okay, so can I answer the question in the chat?
So I just realised I was talking and was muted. I was like, oh, there's a question come in, and then realised I was muted. But yes, by all means.
Okay, so the question is how many probes will be installed? Reasonable. Okay, so in the 10 countries, we are looking at 5 probes each for now. And the way we want to do the probes is 1 probe on a different ISP. So we would like to get a variety of data. So for the 5 probes, it means 5 different ISPs. So in Kenya, for example, 3 are live, 1 is mine, and 2 more are on 2 other ISPs, and the same will be done for all those countries. So we want to have as much variety as possible.
You can see the chat as well.
Yeah, yes. So Vladislav, that is the plan, to run sort of both measurements on one device. We thought of going that way so that we can have a probe which is dedicated just to do the measurements. We didn't want to ask people to sort of have one device for this and one device for something else. What we are planning to do once we finish up with the overall prototyping, we have started with the MLab measurements, they're working fine, is then introduce the right measurements and then stagger them so that they don't run at the same time. So maybe the first hour would be the MLab measurement, and then after that the right one. So the RPi is able to handle both tools. Okay, we've not had any resource issues on that, and it's looking quite well. Yeah, we are working on a repo. Actually, we just opened something yesterday with Amresh, who's also on the call. We are going to share that via the mailing list.
Hi, Kevin. That sounds very interesting, and we are organizing a deployathon next week. There is a lot of people from Africa, from all kinds of countries in Africa registered already, but I would like to propose after this one, when we kind of gain a little bit of experience how to organize this such an event online, to do something together for the African continent specifically. So like to maybe address some of the specific issues. So yeah, would you be interested in that?
Yes, definitely. We are trying to reach out as many people in the region. So please, you can invite Amresh and invite that. That would be very welcome. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you. And Swapnil, I see you also, and I would like actually to do this similar thing for the Asian subcontinent. So let's expand.
Definitely. Sounds great.
Okay, perfect. I'll be in touch.
Awesome. Thanks, Vesna. And once again, thanks Kevin.